In this video, we're going to talk about presentation anxiety and how to manage it. In my experience, no one is immune from anxiety for their entire life. The seeds are within us all, and given the right conditions, they can grow. I say this to counter the idea that anxiety only happens to other people who have little or no experience of presenting in front of an audience. Not true. Accomplished presenters can just as easily and suddenly become anxious about presenting, even if they've done it successfully before. A reasonable amount of anxiety can be useful. If you have an optimal amount, you tend to perform better than those with none at all. Your stress makes you think about what you need to do to succeed, how you need to prepare, what you need to practice, and so on. But when we're overwhelmed by dread, it has the opposite effect. Too much anxiety triggers an alarm, and the body responds physiologically to the perceived threat or danger. It can happen before you know consciously that it's occurring. And it starts here in the brain. The amygdala is one of two almond-shaped clusters of nuclei located deep within the temporal lobes of our brain. It's been shown in research to perform a primary role in the processing of memory, decision-making, and emotional responses, including fear, anxiety, and aggression. It sets the emotional tone of any experience. It can also act like an internal panic button, activating for false alarms and real ones. You've probably heard of the fight or flight response. Quicker than you can consciously think, the amygdala sounds the alarm. In milliseconds, it sparks electrical impulses throughout your nervous system to activate your adrenal glands. And these glands dump stress hormones like cortisol into your bloodstream, which jolts your system by increasing breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. Does that sound familiar? So if we lived in primitive times, you'd be ready to kill the beast or run from your enemies. This response would be very useful, and I suppose it still is for rare life-threatening occasions. But it's not a great deal of use in the boardroom or lecture hall when you're about to deliver a speech. There's also a slow track to anxiety. Taking the slow track, you think about things before you become fearful. The reaction actually comes from your prefrontal cortex, around here in the frontal lobe of the brain. The basic activity of this brain region is considered to be orchestration of thoughts and actions. So if you already have a systemic fear of presenting, your thinking actually reminds you what to be anxious about. Are you the person that says, I've never been good at public speaking, it makes me really nervous, or on a scale of 1 to 10, my anxiety is a 9? Well, then you're using the slow track trigger to build anxiety. So think carefully about your ongoing narrative, the story you tell yourself about presenting and public speaking. We all have one. The good thing is that it can be changed with insight, determination, and practice. Neuroplasticity refers to changes in neural pathways and synapses due to changes in behaviour, environment, neural processes, thinking, and emotions. We can choose to stimulate the amygdala forward by sending signals to our frontal lobe. This is where the brain handles cognitive functions such as long-term decision-making and appropriate social actions. When you feel the slow track anxiety creeping up, visualise a time when you felt most in control in front of an audience, when you sold your message succinctly and with ease, engaging with your audience. Do this every time the anxiety creeps in. We have vast resources within us that we can use, and once we have more positive experiences, we can anchor our thoughts to those, forming new neural pathways until they become second nature to us. So, for the anxious presenter, bringing your anxiety under control is the first step in performing and communicating well. If this information has helped you, give us a thumbs up and stay tuned for more presenting techniques by becoming a subscriber to our channel.